Happy Hour. We have a loaded show for you where we talk about the Vikings, obviously our favorite training camp memory, and if the Vikings are being slept on this season. So grab your beverage and join us for the first episode of the new Viking season.
Welcome to Vikings Happy Hour, where we mix our favorite beverage and talk of your Minnesota Vikings. Skol!
Hello, and welcome back to another episode of Vikings Happy Hour. This week, along with every other week, sponsored by Lake Monster Brewing in St. Paul, Minnesota. And I am excited. Excited is an understatement. I have been kind of pulling back on Twitter, and today I just let loose. I couldn't help myself. Seeing football players making catches in shorts, it's training camp is here, Ryan, and it feels good to sit here behind the screen and chat with you and Dave once again. So, how are you, first of all, and then piggyback that with your favorite training camp memory.
Yeah, I'm doing great. It's excited for the football season. Like you, seeing all of the different videos popping up, interviews popping up. Like, just there's an excitement that, the fact that we've had 3-4 weeks with pretty much nothing, right? No mini camps or anything, just pure break. So coming back from that and seeing all that and the excitement, seeing the different clips you're seeing from Kevin O'Connell and how jazzed up he is with the players, and it just seems like a new feel. I feel like we said this last year, but it really does feel like a different team right now, in terms of just energy levels, confidence, all of that. So really excited for the season. Favorite training camp memory. I have quite a few, honestly. I'm from Mankato initially, that's where I grew up. So I grew up with training camp, so there's a ton of memories there. But I'm gonna go with I think it was like when my kid was just under 1 years old. My oldest, Brandon. So this is probably 9 years ago or so, and we took him to training camp, my mom and I, actually, just because I brought him down to visit, and Adrian Peterson was on the team still, and Chad Greenway and Harrison Smith. He was kind of young in his career at that point, so we had all this talent, and we're right on like the sidelines, right? And my mom, she's nuts. She literally, if you guys ever meet her, she's absolutely nuts. But she's a great lady, but just nuts. She just takes Brandon, my son, and just basically threw him into Adrian Peterson's arms, and then so we can get a picture with him and everything. So I still have the photo. It's pretty cool. He took a picture with Harrison Smith. He took a picture with Chad Greenway. So that was a really fun, cool memory. And then the next year, I printed the picture and Chad Greenway signed it. I wasn't able to get AP or Harrison Smith's signature on theirs, but it's a lot of fun. How about you, Dave?
Oh, I've never been to a training camp. Unfortunately, no, I have not.
Since before I was born, you never been to Vikings
training? No, not to a training camp. I've been to games, but not to training camp.
Figured you would have came down when you were in North Dakota.
I wish I had, but no, that wasn't the case. I do have one of my favorite. I saw a picture of today, and I'm trying to remember. It was 5, 6, 7, 8 years ago, and it was Daily Norseman's own Eric Thompson and Arif walking out. Arif's in his Captain America's t-shirt, and they're leading the team onto the field. And I do believe that was one of the years that but Daily Norseman was allowed to go up there and represent. It was a good year.
Absolutely. Well, shit, Dave, you haven't been to the stadium yet. You haven't been to a Vikings training camp. One year, you're just going to have to come up and stay for 3 weeks and we'll get you at training camp, the end of it, and then we want to get you to a regular season game. This year would have been perfect. You could have gone to the Packer one, but
Nah, it'll happen eventually.
Well,
It'll
if you
happen.
do want to come up, I am trying to get rid of my Bears tickets right now. So
what
I
if
week is
see.
you're
that?
looking for a game,
That
I
would be an
got you.
emotional game for me because the very first game I saw was a Bears game
Oh, really?
at the old Met,
Oh man,
1969.
Ice
My
some
cold.
struggle then.
my dad was a avid Bears fan, and he took us to the game. It was November,
It was
and
a cold, cold.
I was just a kid. I was 6 years old, and I still remember some of the memories, the visions of being in the stands, looking down onto the field. But it was a Bears game, and he always followed the Bears, right? And we'd have great Sunday conversations about football. We both love football. I was third generation in the family playing football. He loved, and we'd have great conversations. But he was always for the Bears, and every week we'd have conversations. But when it came to Vikings Bears week, oh, then the shit flew. We were talking smack both ways. It was something. It was fun.
That's awesome, man. I,
How about you, Matt?
yeah, I'm trying to think here. So I've been to training camp a handful of times in Mankato. I did go a couple years ago at the new facility in Egan. I don't know. I think it's just like a general memory, but there was something about like being a kid and like just huddling up.
Oh no, we've got frozen internet.
No.
I know.
I tried
Ryan,
to
I
reach
think
his.
that means we need to switch topics and talk about Oklahoma players that are on the Vikings.
I'm back. Back. I don't know what happened there.
No, that's all
We're
right.
still in the new house, so the internet stuff. We're gonna have to figure out when we do live shows. But like I was saying, just standing up by the fence asking for autographs as a kid, probably my favorite moments. So
When it
it,
actually happened, it's just fantastic, right?
that's
Like,
true. That's true.
yeah, I remember I don't
I got
know.
enough Ryan
Well,
Log autographs to give to a bunch of kids.
one last training camp story I'll tell you guys. This might be my favorite one actually. So AP gets drafted. Obviously, Dave just mentioned
Mm-hmm.
Oklahoma, right? Huge fan. I freaked out whenever he was drafted. I ran around my friend's house like a madman. And that summer was the summer that we graduated high school. So my buddies and I were just like trying to live our best summer life, right? Just having a great time. Well, that was that summer. And um, we happened to just be going down. It was the same day that the I-35 bridge fell. So
Mm-hmm.
my buddy's mom was like calling him, like freaking out, like, "Are you up there? Are you up there?" Right? We were down in Mankato, and we went to the gas station to grab some stogies for whatever reason. Probably just some dumb stuff, right? But and when we got there, AP just signed his contract that day, and it was chilling with like this brand new BMW fancy car. And I'm like, I have to go up. I have to. So I walk up to him, and he's like, he took a picture with me and whatnot, and he goes, "Hey, I'll give you guys $100 to help me wipe down my rims." So my buddies and I just got on our hands and knees with these, wet towels, and we started wiping down his rims and trying to, buff up the car a little bit just to like have that experience. And he paid us money for it,
Cool.
and we all got pictures with him, and he broke my hand. It was fantastic. It was a really cool experience.
I, I'm
Well,
sure.
now we've started the 2022 training camp, which are either of you going?
I'm gonna try
I
to
don't
make
know
it.
if I'm gonna make it. Um, it's tough, when you're working. Otherwise, you got to go on like a Friday or Saturday when they have the night practice. And
Yeah.
those are packed. It was a lot better to go during the day when you didn't have to work because there's not as many people. But
Yeah.
we'll see.
Yeah, I'll try to take the kid. I'm not 100% sure what day yet, but I'm gonna try to take the kid out there.
Well, let's talk about this, and I've seen my internet kind of crap out again here. So if it continues to go, just keep carrying the conversation; it'll come back. But I think when we look into this season. Historically, when you have a new head coach, especially a new GM too, both of them, expectations are pretty low. Um, and I think yesterday, Ryan, you even sent me a DM about what the USA Today had. I think they had the Lions finishing ahead of the Vikings in the NFC North this season.
Same
Um,
record ahead of us, technically. Yep.
yeah, but by all accounts, I think that this team has improved since last year. Somehow, I'm a little surprised that they were able to pull off a Zadarius Smith signing. They moved on from some vets, but vets like Anthony Barr, not too concerning to me at his stage in his career. Um, they brought in a lot of competition at right guard, so they're ready for that competition in training camp, and I'm ready to watch that. So we'll get to that later. Um, but then you start off with Kwesi's comments in the USA Today article that are, in my opinion, are getting a little overblown, and I'm now concerned about the transparency that we will not get moving forward from Kwesi. I tweeted about that today, but um, I heard Pat McAfee talking about it today, and now I just feel like everyone is kind of gunning for the Vikings. Like, nah, they're starting off on the wrong foot. Kirk Cousins, and we're getting Kirk Cousins, Mike Zimmer drama from like last year. Um, and so I just kind of feel as we head into this season, people are sleeping on us because I personally think we're going to take a step forward this year, especially on the offensive side of the ball. Defense is to be determined, but new scheme, you can get some guys pretty energetic. I know Eric Kendricks, he was interviewed today feeling very confident, saying that he knows this game inside and out. I mean, he's coming in on year 8 now, so I'd hope so. But what are your thoughts, Ryan, on that? Do you think the Vikings are being slept on, or do you think the national media is, viewing them in, you know, the correct lens? I guess.
Yeah, I mean, I think it just kind of depends on the publication you're reading, right? So I've read some publications that say we're probably going to be in like the, what would it be now, 10-7 range. That was it USA Today was 8-9. So like you have that kind of range, and honestly, I can't really say that we should be above that or below that, right? Like we have shown year in and year out over the last few years that that's very true, Steve. We've shown that we're gonna be that hovering around 500 team, right? So are we being slept on? I think maybe a little bit. Again, depending on the publication you're reading, but I do think that this drama that's coming out now about just Kirk Cousins in general, right? The Zimmer stuff, the now Kwesi stuff. It's all talking heads needing something to talk about, right? Like I don't think that there's really much to read into this. It's not like the guy said, "Oh, Kirk Cousins is ass," right? Like he said he's a good quarterback. He's not Tom Brady. Okay, I don't think Kirk Cousins is going to sit here and be offended by that comment because what has he
He
done?
definitely
He
should.
hasn't. No, and I don't think Kirk is. I mean, again, I don't know Kirk Cousins on a personal level, but he seems to be a relatively level headed, even keel kind of guy. So
Mhm.
I don't think that he's going to sit here and be like, yep, I should be talked in the same breath as Tom Brady. So I think it's being overblown a little bit. But from the perspective of being slept on, I look at our season. I look like I'm a little bit more optimistic than I probably should be. We had a happy hour with a few of us last week, and some of the individuals in that conversation were maybe a little bit more down than I was on the Vikings heading into the season, as to be expected. But overall, I think that to your point, our offense has improved just with having an offensive minded head coach, having a guy who comes from a offensive mind or that offensive minded tree of Sean McVay, who is going to be a little bit more aggressive with throwing the football and coming up with some creative plays and a lot of motion, which I think is key for any offense to be successful.
Did you
You
see?
couple
Did you see the jet sweep with Justin Jefferson and the Kevin O'Connell mic'd up thing? There we go.
I did just
You
kind of just put it out there,
you
right?
have to
Yeah.
see that in the Zimmer era.
Yeah, exactly. So like you see some of those dynamics. Justin Jefferson's a year progressed in his skill set now. KJ Osborne's probably going to take another leap. Hopefully, Thielen can stay healthy. Dalvin can stay healthy. And, with an improved, hopefully, offensive line and now healthy Irv Smith, our offense should be, ready to roll. To your point, defense is subject to, we have to wait and see what we're going to get out of that. But you take a look at what Steve's comment was earlier, they can't be much worse than they were last year, at least in the second half. I think they're actually pretty solid in the first half until Danielle Hunter got hurt. He's healthy now, and you have a running mate with him.
Of each,
What did you say?
or just the final 2 minutes of the first half.
Yeah, right. So I think we're going to see an improvement there. I think we're going to see an improvement at the play at cornerback. You're already seeing some or maybe not highlights, but you're seeing some positive speak coming from Andrew Booth already, which was my boy. You're seeing a lot of positivity coming from Lewis Seen and what he's doing out at camp. So yeah, I mean, there's a lot of reasons to be optimistic, in my opinion.
Dave, what about you? I saw a couple looks you gave Ryan in his little spiel. Do you think we're being slept on? Are you overconfident, not confident enough?
No, nationwide, the national press, they're sleeping on the Vikings. They're going on. They're doing everything. Vegas says we're now 9 wins. It used to be 8, 8-1. 9 wins. Okay, that's fine. They're going off of that. They're going off of what happened last year. They aren't looking at, and that very well may turn out. We may end up 500, but they aren't looking at the potential of what should happen, especially if everybody stays healthy. I think Cook is going to be healthier. I love the sports science aspect of the new regime coming in.
Mm-hmm.
Cook is literally in his prime as a running back. This is that prime year. So he should be good. We're going to pass first, right, versus running the 1995 run first offense. We're going to be passing more. You have Justin Jefferson, who that third year for a wide receiver is usually the big year when they get it, type year. You've got that coming. He has the motivation that he's not the best wide receiver in the league, and that's his goal. I'm cool with that. Let that be. I think KJ Osborne could be better. ISM could be better. Heck, even BC Johnson can be better. And then you have Naylor, the new kid. I think the wide receiver room is pretty talented. Adam Thielen, I think, will be the wise old man. I hope he goes like, Carter and those guys, trusted in the red zone, nice possession stuff. He's not going to be burning anybody, but he knows how to get open, catch the football, let him do. The offense, I think, has absolute room to shine. I think the offensive line gets markedly better. I worry about Bradbury in the middle, and I worry about the right guard. But we'll see who wins the right guard battle. I look forward to that. I think the defense is much improved. You talked about interviews today. Danielle Hunter was on there. He goes, It is so nice to be free and able to move around. This is going to be fun. And he was just all pumped and excited. And he goes, all I want to do is rush from the edge and get the quarterback. Hey, that's wonderful. That's what you want to hear from your edge rushers. And with Smith doing that same thing, they're going to cause havoc for Darisaw and O'Neal in practice. But it's going to be fun to watch when it gets on the field. And I think the middle guys, Tomlinson was interviewed today. He likes the fact that he's got Horrible Harry in the middle next to him. And with the ends taking up so much occupation of offensive coordinators' minds, it's going to open up those middle guys for better production. I can't wait. So,
and honestly, I think that the defensive side of the ball season really rests on the shoulders of Hunter and Smith. If they can stay healthy and they can do what they have done in the past, our defense is going to look a heck of a lot better than it did last year. Now, if
Yep.
one of them goes down or both go down because they both haven't been the model of health over the last 2 seasons, we're going to be in a lot of trouble because the depth behind them isn't very strong, in my opinion, and our corners are not strong enough at this point in their careers to be able to hold down, that secondary for very long. So they need that pressure to kind of come in and disrupt the quarterback. So we'll see, though. You never know. I mean, Ed Donatel is a good defensive mind, so we'll see what he brings.
Yeah, it comes from the Vic Fangio tree of defensive minds. So I'm excited to see that. And Dave, to your point, the interviews today, I forget which beat writer it was, but they called out Zadarius Smith's energy specifically. Um, and the one thing I've always thought about the Vikings defense in their Zimmer era, there was no guy outside of Everson Griffin who really was like a stand on the table, like let's get this group pumped up. Um, they've all not that they're not leaders in their own ways, but there
Right.
were
They're
no
they're quiet.
there.
Kendricks is
Yeah,
quiet. Hitman
yep,
Harris is quiet.
yep.
Barr was.
Barr
Barr was
was relatively
quiet.
quiet. They don't have the rah rahs. Now they have Harrison Phillips and they have
Yep.
Zadarius Smith.
Yeah.
And
Both are
Lewis
that
Cine will
way.
be that guy, I'm sure, too.
Yeah, and I
Lewis
was
Cine
about to
looks
say
like he's
Lewis
going to.
Seen and I think Andrew Booth maybe a little bit too. So you're going to get some new energy on that team, and I think that is what I'm looking forward to. Um, I'm down for the people who are going to call people out on the sidelines and get them back in the game. Now, it's not to say they never did it because I'm sure they did it in their own subtle way, like Harrison Smith and Eric Kendricks. But I'm very eager to see that Zadarius Smith energy on that
Mm-hmm.
defense. Um, this team's gonna hopefully play furious and fast, and to open up Week 1 against Green Bay is gonna be man, it's gonna be awesome.
That
I
stadium's going to be rocking.
I'll be at
but we're
that game with my
not.
wife.
That'll be fun. You could sell those tickets for a lot of money, but you'll probably have better
I
memories.
usually I usually do sell them, but not at the first game of the year. First game of the year always belongs to Brooks. So
Um, well, we're not quite there yet. We got 3 preseason games. We got cut down day. So as training camp just starts today, Ryan, I'll toss it to you because I'm sure my internet will shit out here in just a second. Um, who has the most to prove in training camp this season? You can pick an offense, defense. You can pick a unit. I don't care, but uh, it's a chance, and it happens every year. Somebody shines. Um, I think last year it was kind of a combination of Irv Smith and KJ Osborne. Irv went down, but KJ, you know, he was rock solid, 7 touchdowns last year. He was phenomenal um, for a wide receiver 3. But who do you think has the most to prove as we head into this training camp?
yeah, I'll start on defense first. And really, it's going to be it's between two people. Really, it's that fight for that CB2 spot, right? So it's going to be Andrew Booth and Cam Dantzler. So, and who knows? Maybe they both went out, and Patrick Peterson gets pushed to the slot, or is kind of the CB 3 behind those
The
two. But
rotational
uh,
guy. Yeah.
the rotational, yeah, exactly. But I think that essentially it's going to be a battle between those two to get that CB2 or CB1 spot, whatever you want to say. And again, I love Booth. I loved his game out of college. He played hurt almost all his college career, and he still was a high level pick. Yes, Irv Smith is fully healthy according to reports, so he should be good to go this year. But didn't I see he was working off on the side today?
I
Or
don't think I saw
was maybe I'm thinking of somebody else, but anyway, yeah. So I'm gonna say Andrew Booth just because he's the rookie here and he has the higher draft capital technically by a round of drafting there. So Andrew Booth on defense, I think he has a lot to prove. Can he stay healthy? Can he live up to the hype of at one point in time a top 10 pick in the NFL draft, being like looked at as a top 10 pick, falling down to I think what was it 46. So that's number one. Number on the offensive side, I gotta say it's got to be Garrett Bradbury, and this is his final year with us unless he can show to be some sort of as something other than what is that, Matador? Like he's got to show to be more than that. And I think there are names out in free agency still right now that are out there that can still be signed. We have $14 million in cap space, which is like top six, top seven in the league right now. We have the ability to go out there and sign somebody. So if he comes out in camp and Harrison Phillips is tossing him around like a rag doll and Dalvin Tomlinson is swim moving him, into oblivion, we may go and call for a JC Treader to come in and fill that spot. So he has a lot to prove in camp, that not only can we rely on him to not call in one of these free agent guys to come in and take his job, but also solidify the center line of the line. I mean, we already have issues at right guard. Jesse Davis was taking first team reps this week. Who knows who it's going to be by the end of the year? But we need to make sure that that line's solid, because for this offensive system to work well, we really need that offense to gel together. Again, they don't need to be a bunch of aces, but they need to gel together. And the more time we lose with Bradbury not being the guy, that just provides less time for the new guy to come in and be part of that gel. If that
You
makes
don't
sense.
think Chris Reed could take that spot? He's been running the
Uh,
twos,
100% could. JC Treader is tried and true, right? Like he's proven to be
except
a
for his
top.
knees. Yes.
Yeah, sure, but yeah, he's been a top guy in this league. Again, who knows where? I mean, he's not signed for a reason right now, right? So there's probably something that I'm just not aware of. But just from his play in the past, he's a top end center in the league, and I'm not sure why we haven't even brought him in at least as competition. I mean, let him be the number two guy, and Chris Reed can kick
Yeah, but
over
it
and
could be
focus
like
on the right card.
Anthony Barr, and he's got degenerative knees that
The one
it's
one
tough.
year deals are just fine until those knees completely crap out on you.
Yeah, shoot him up full of cortisone and some other stuff, and let him go.
Yeah. How about you,
Well,
Dave? Well, who are your camp? People who need to stand out of camp.
I've got one real big one on the offensive side.
let's hear it.
The one and only Kirk Cousins.
The most to prove.
Yes, because
Okay.
if he comes out, he is now in a system with a quarterback with a head coach that likes him, that
Yep.
in an offense that will play to his wants and needs and be tailored to it more. Now that I think previous offenses were tailored to him, he's got to come out and bust that five. I'm a 500 quarterback bubble. Not only for himself to earn his next biggest paycheck, which hopefully he's not for the Vikings unless he wins the Super Bowl, but wherever it is, he's got the most to prove that he can do it and that Mike Zimmer was the problem and it wasn't him, right? We'll see if that's the case this season. I hope he does. I really do. I hope he thrives. I hope he takes the one single season passing record from Dante Culpepper. I hope
Yep.
he makes Justin Jefferson an absolute superstar, right? It's just, but the pressure on the offense is his. It's absolutely his. On the defensive side, it's probably Danielle Hunter, like Yoshi's saying. Danielle's is healthy, but he's missed
Yep.
2 seasons, or a majority of 2 seasons because of his health. If he stays healthy, that defense is awfully hard to beat. And, you do it that way. And I'm taking the vets on that. Do I want some rookies to step up? Yeah, I'd love to see Booth step up, win a job. I'd love to see Ed Ingram in particular win a job. And, I suspect Sign will. I look forward to the combination three safeties. But it's for most to prove, for me, it's Kirk Cousins. He's got to step out of that. I'm just a 500 quarterback guy.
Yeah, I think that's a valid point. And, our friend of the show and at Score North, Judd Zolgad, I think he tweeted it out the other day. Um, all Viking fans will be on the same page when this season concludes about Kirk Cousins. Like there have been, I don't want to say excuses, but there have been reasons for Kirk Cousins in the past, and he literally has it all now. He's got a coach that supports him. He's got an average offensive line. He's got a plethora of offensive weapons. It's
More
it's
than
all
most teams. Yes.
way more than most teams. It's all there now finally for him. So whether he's good or he's bad, there should be no disagreement when the season concludes. I want to go to Skull.
Real quick, and I
Go
saw a tweet that came in the other day, or that was sent out the other day, around the fact that Kirk Cousins is going to be the better quarterback in all but 3 games this year. Now, I don't
Mhm.
necessarily agree with that, right? I mean, I'm not sure if I'm going to rank Kirk Cousins over Dak or over Kyler Murray, like this
Or
tweeter
Zach Will.
had that like this tweeter had put out there. But even if he's better than every quarterback he'll face outside of those 5 games, that means that better quarterback typically that team typically wins. So that means that we should be looking at a 12-5 season if that's the case, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
That's up for him to show us that he is that guy. It is up to him for him to go toe to toe with Dak Prescott, with Kyler Murray, and prove unequivocally that he's better than those 2 guys, and
Yeah.
go up against Aaron Rodgers, who
Who
probably
he's
has his
beaten.
worst team, who he's beaten, and who is probably has the worst team of the two, and show out and beat him twice this season, right? Like
They've got a good
he's got to
defense,
come
though.
in and show up. Yeah, they
Mm-hmm.
do have a good defense, but we got to come in and show up for those games, and he has to do that. He has to take the reins. He has to make the no look pass to Cooper Cup in the
Yep.
biggest game of the year to keep the game alive, right? Like, um, and if he can show that, I think there's going to be a lot of supporters here. Now, if he plays the dink and dunk, continue to play the dink and dunk game to a 500 record, we know who we have. And like the friend of the show, Eric Eager from PFF, has said, Kirk's always playing for the other team as well,
Yeah, the next
meaning
contract.
the next contract. The next contract, he's playing for that next contract. So, yeah, if it's Justin Jefferson in tight coverage one-on-one or a dump off to CJ Ham, what play is he going to make this year now that he has the confidence of the coach?
Yeah. I want to
And
go back quick
we'll see who he is.
to Skull Purple podcast question. Um, and it'll kind of lead into my training camp question as well. But what does the team have to do at a minimum for this season to be deemed a success? And I think so. First off, everybody's opinion is going to be a little bit different about what the success of this team looks like this year. Um, New head coach, new GM, new offense and defensive scheme. I don't know. I feel like you could deem 500 a success. I don't think you should. I think this team is too talented to have 500. I guess you can't be 500 anymore, but you get
Sure,
what
you
I'm saying.
can. 8-8-1.
Well, God damn it, Dave! Now you did it. That's it.
That's
You
what I've
nailed
been
it.
saying all off season.
Shit. But
The tie will be against the Lions.
God, that's even worse. You could say that a 500 season is successful. Um, I actually think it's playoffs, and the only reason I say that now is just because of the addition of the extra wild card team. Um, this team is, like I said, too talented to not get to that point. Like they're they were almost there
But
last
but
year
but
in last
hold
year's
on.
dysfunction.
Sure, but you're saying that they're too talented to not do that. So that's expectation. That's not success, right?
That's
Right.
fair. That's
That sets the floor.
Yeah, playoffs should be the floor for this team given the talent they have on offense, the aggressiveness that they'll likely have on offense, these
okay.
hopefully
Okay.
improved defense.
So
Minimum, we should be looking at playoffs.
you don't deem playoffs a success then for this season?
No, I need a win in the playoffs, get to the divisional round. That I think that'd
That's
be successful.
bold. That's bold.
I'm
That's
not saying they will. I'm saying that's what I would deem success. Actually, if anything, if they land anywhere around 500 and don't make the playoffs, that's actually a failure more so than them going 5-12 and missing the playoffs. You know what I mean? Like I'd much
barring
rather
major
them.
injuries.
Right, I'm just saying
Yeah.
I'd much rather them suck than be average. Like suck or be good, don't be average. And we need to, and with the talent that's on this team, they're too talented to suck. So they need to get to that playoffs and win a game or two for this season to be successful, in my opinion.
Okay. Dave, I see
I
you're nodding your head. Are you similar boat as
no,
Ryan?
I'm similar to Ryan, but the biggest thing to me for probably what I would call a success, and I agree with Ryan getting to that point in the playoffs minimum, is that I want them to find an identity. I want them to establish themselves as we are the new Vikings. We're
I
going to
like
come out and kick your ass just like the old ones did in the snow back at the old Met. We don't give a shit. If you run on us, we're going to stop you. If you pass on us, we're going to stop you. And no matter what, we're going to score 30, 35, 40, even a 50 burger if we have to, because we are the new Vikings. I want to see that identity come uh, into reality because we haven't had that in the last few years.
this is the best season to surprise the NFL, honestly. It's like there are no expectations for this team. I think that's the real thing here. There are no expectations for this team. So you can play loose and you can find your identity and kick the shit out of these teams like you said, Dave. Put a 50 burger on some of these folks and really just stomp your way to the playoffs because there are no expectations. I think it's next year that I think we really will want to sit and watch this team and how they react to the first year. But that's getting way too far ahead of ourselves here. So,
Well, and
like
I
you
mean,
said,
you take a look at the schedule though. There is zero reason this team shouldn't be in playoffs. Like
Right. And
zero reason. I mean, we're playing some teams that I mean, granted, I'll give Detroit the benefit of the doubt. I think they're going to be better than they were last year. Like they lost a lot of close games like we did, so that what did
with
they
your
end up with?
kneecap.
Three and whatever, two and whatever. They're going to be better than that team was last year, and I think you're going to see a lot more wins.
Hmm.
But there's no reason this team should be losing to that team. There is no reason we should be losing to the Jets. There's no reason we should. I mean, we should be
Jets,
battling.
Jets are talented though, or Jets have a lot of talent, I should say.
they've
They
got a
have
legend
promising
quarterback.
young talent they
Just
need to develop. Like
remember me saying this today.
they're not beating. They shouldn't be beating a relatively veteran team like us.
Well, the Bills shouldn't have beat us. What was it? Josh Allen's rookie year. I'm just saying that there's a lot of talent on that
No,
Jet.
that you're right. They shouldn't have, and they did, and that was the issue. That was
Yeah.
the issue.
Now, one of the reasons why I think they should go into the playoffs, should hopefully win the division and then win games in the playoffs, is because of the approach they took in the offseason. They didn't
Hmm.
go for a rebuild. They went for basically a run it back and then add a few extra spices into that. Zadarius Smith, in particular, type stuff. They're
Yeah.
choosing, saying, no, we can win now. So they chose that route. So a losing season does not, barring major injury. If Kirk Cousins' leg falls off tomorrow, we're in Hurtonsville. But barring that, they need to win because they've already said no. Sub 500 is not good enough. We're not going with that route. We're bringing it back. We can win with the team, basically the team we had last year, only with better coaches and a few additions. We expect to win the division. I fully expect they need to win the division. I could care less about Green Bay. They're due to fall on their faces. Um, win the
Did you,
division.
Dave? Dave, before we go to our last topic here, what did you think of Aaron Rodgers' his walk-in entrance? I would say. And by the way, the one thing I want to call out, um, no one's talking about the fact that he just drops his bag halfway through that video.
I'm like,
And
is there a
it's almost,
bag? Somebody collecting bags there, or did he? Is that staged? And I think
that's
it's
what I'm saying.
staged.
Or he just got so caught up in the camera on him, and he's just like, Screw the bag.
Gut
I'll just.
sucked in, chest out, walking, preening.
Did you like that though, Dave? You want to
Ah,
see Kirk do that?
no. I didn't want to see Rogers do that.
Wow. Before we switch to our last topic here, a shout out to just everybody in the chat here. It's been a while, but you guys are doing great and lighting up the comments. So thank you for that. I see some familiar names, and I hope to continue to see you back here every week now for the next, God, I don't know,
Through
20
February,
weeks.
March,
Yeah, we made it through April, and then we had to
yeah,
take a
April,
break.
through the
Um,
draft.
anyway, uh, Ryan, I'll start with you, and then we'll go to Dave here. But we talked about who's got the most to prove in training camp this year. I think you guys called out some good ones: Kirk Cousins, Daniil Hunter, Andrew Booth, Garrett Bradbury. I think is a good one too. I think Irv is a really good one. I think there's a lot of potential there with Irv Smith. I like the potential there. I don't think he's really proved anything quite yet. Um, I think if I were to pick an offensive one, I think it'd probably be Andrew or not Andrew Irv
Irv.
Smith. Defensive side of the ball, I think it's Cam Dantzler. I want to see how he does. He's officially out of Mike Zimmer's doghouse, like 100%. Like he can't get in there. So let's see how he reacts with the new coaching staff and a very touching picture with him walking in with a Gladney jersey, um, kind of dedicating his season to him. So I hope it all works out for him. But that would probably be my most approved this training camp. But as far as training camp as a whole goes, what should we look for? Like it's really hard. Like I know I get excited about the guys in shorts making cool plays, but the pads aren't on. It's not a game. What can we pull from training camp that's tangible, that's you know points to some sort of success?
Yeah, that's a good question. I mean, obviously, we want to see that continuity with the line. I think that's going to be a very strong indicator of a strong season for us. But this is going to be kind of silly, but I want to see a few Kirk Cousins interceptions. And I don't mean like dumb interceptions like he
You
threw the
seen one?
ball right. We've
He
seen
got
one.
one today.
Yeah, Booth, right? Yeah.
You
So,
want,
but
hold on, hold on.
I
You
want to,
want to see that?
I do. I want to see him taking aggressive shots downfield, and if that means that he gets, PBU or an interception, I'm okay with that. I want to see that offense and more specifically Kirk Cousins be a little bit more aggressive. And then I hope that translates to game day. Now, obviously not the interception side, but the aggressiveness side. Honestly, I think that Kirk Cousins being more aggressive turns last year's, what were we, 8-9 or 8-9 to maybe 10-7, right? Like, and we're in the playoffs at that point, right? Like, I think that him being more aggressive is going to be a huge defining factor of how the season's going to go. So that's kind of what I want to see. I know it kind of sounds silly. You don't want your quarterback throwing interceptions, but we're practicing. It doesn't matter. Just try to make the plays, get comfortable with making tight throws downfield to your playmakers and seeing what they do with it.
I hope you know that I'm going to clip that specific moment and just say Ryan wants Kirk to throw more interceptions.
That's
Hey,
fine.
it does work. Aaron
Yeah,
Rodgers uses that in the preseason to throw all sorts of weird balls. Um, Tom Brady used to do it that I know of. I think Patrick Mahomes does it. Preseason or the training camp is the experimental time for them too, right? Where they can test their limits to know what they can do, to know how their receivers are going to respond. By all means, press those limits. You know, bust that envelope. Find out where it is.
My
yeah.
favorite is people on Twitter overreacting to interceptions in preseason. Like it matters. Kirk threw it one today. People are up
Let
in
her
arms.
rip, man.
Baker
Let her
threw
rip.
one today.
Oh
People
God,
are all up in arms. Like again,
can't
I'm just saying like all the
get through a show.
I can't get through no, but like again, you look at all the different quarterbacks that throw, but and then like some are more amplified than others, like the Kirk because he has a ton of people who just aren't on his side. You have the Bakers who pretty much everyone from Cleveland, all the fans from Cleveland that hated him, were all up on the Panthers DMs like he sucks. You guys should have known, right? But and then like Mahomes or Rodgers throws interceptions and you don't even hear about it because why? Because it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. But they like the media needs to amplify something to make it worse than it actually is.
Dave, do you have anything? I know Ryan, you know, he said he's looking for more interceptions from Kirk Cousins. What are you looking forward to out of Vikings training camp?
I can't wait to see the big round bellies, both on the offense and the defense. They're limited. I think I heard 11 padded practices. I thought it was 12, but 11. And then the 3 preseason games, and especially the starters that aren't going to play a ton. I hope they play more than the weapons behind them. I want to see how those guys are looking this season.
Dave, did you hear the analogy that I forget which player it was, but what they described Dalvin Tomlinson as a fire hydrant in a dog
Yes.
park, where and
No,
Dalvin
it was
said,
Harrison Phillips was the one that originally said, "This is what it's like." They asked Tomlinson about it, and he goes,
"Oh,
"I
that's
don't know
right."
what he said." And Tomlinson said, or the reporter said, they said Phillips said this, and
It's like getting
Tomlinson
beat
is,
on in a dog
yeah,
park.
that's a good description. That,
I thought you'd like that. I thought of you.
yep, nose tackles like playing the fire hydrant. Be the fire hydrant. What's that feel like? When stray dogs come by and piss on you all the time. Hmm.
Um,
But you can't move.
I think I might be on board with what Dave's saying here in the terms of like the offense and defensive line. I think I'm more interested, or what I'm looking for, I guess, is to see how the offensive line works as a unit. One of Kevin O'Connell's biggest things that he touched on in his offensive coordinator days and back with Washington, um, is his ideal offense has a very unpredictable offensive line, meaning that they're the jack of all trades. They can do it all. And so I'll be curious to kind of watch that unit through some of these padded practices, see how they move, see what kind of tricks they got up their sleeves, how they respond to certain rushes from the defense. Um,
Well, even rushing it, we're going from a wide zone scheme to a mid zone scheme. So where they put their hats on the defenders is
yeah,
slightly different. So
it's going to be a new look offense and defense for us. It's going to be strange. And I think the worst and best part, the worst part is like we're really not going to see this stuff until the regular season. Like they're not going to tip their hat too much uh, in preseason here. So
And
uh,
and how about Munt having a great day? Apparently, you
I
guys
didn't
see
hear that.
that?
I didn't hear
Oh
that. I missed
yeah,
it.
apparently he had a couple big catches, one over Scene, one over somebody else. But yeah, apparently he was just having a day today.
Maybe Kevin O'Connell was onto something.
I
Hey,
think so.
we'd like a good tight end too.
Um, well, that's kind of all I had planned for tonight's show. But I'll toss it to you guys one more time if you have anything else that you want to share just about coming into training camp. I know it hasn't really started. I mean, there was one thing today, but
Today is day
uh,
one of training camp.
we'll get more as time goes on here. But any other final takeaways from either Ryan or Dave here?
No, I think that again, just excited. I mean, that's all. I mean, so excited that we jumped on this show. We had a little hiatus there, and
I know, man.
excited to have something to talk about finally again, something to actually watch on Twitter because God, in that month of like nothingness, it was just a bunch of political garbage and all that crap that you don't want to see on Twitter, but you're seeing it because there's nothing else to talk about. So I'm glad to get back into football. Glad to get back into Vikings football.
Yes,
And another team I won't mention that I'm excited for. But yes,
just mentioned it
it's
already.
just an exciting time. It's an exciting time.
Dave, I'm going to cut you off. You don't get anything else to say just because Dave's got his own show on Saturdays, which Dave hasn't stopped, by the way. Dave just keeps working.
We took one weekend off.
Oh, 1 weekend.
Slacker.
Yeah. Felt that way too.
Did it?
Yeah.
God, I wonder what you guys say about us. But no, we are back officially. It's Vikings Happy Hour. I want to thank Ryan and Dave for joining me again tonight. Everybody in the chat, if you're listening to this live or on the podcast, head over to our YouTube channel and click subscribe. I know we've been gone for a little bit, but we have some high aspirations this year. I'd really like to see us get to 4,000 subscribers by the end of the football season. It's a tall, tall task, and we'll need your help, listeners and viewers. But we can do it. I believe we can. So like, subscribe, go over to YouTube. We will be here every single Wednesday night from this point forward. Maybe not both of us, but one or the other or both will always be here. And some special news that we have starting next week, we are bringing on board a fellow Climb in the Pocket member, Miles Gorham. He will be joining the show full time. He is leaving in the huddle, which was originally our Tuesday night show, and he will be joining Ryan, I, and Dave over here on Vikings Happy Hour. So come back
plus
to see
guests.
Yes, plus guests. I'm going to leave the surprise for next week, but we do have a guest next week that I think everyone will recognize as soon as he comes on the show. So I'll pass it over to Dave here for any announcements, but thank you, everybody, for joining us tonight, and we will see you next week.
Besides what's happening here on Vikings Happy Hour, we have Vikings Hot Take, normally on Thursdays. Well, we're not going to have it tomorrow. I've talked to the boys today. Vikings Hot Takes looks to be moving into the Tuesday spot, taking in the huddle's place. We are going to have a show next week. I don't know if it's going to be Thursday or Tuesday. We'll figure that out. But it is moving, and I can't wait because Flip and Eric going at it is just absolutely fantastic. It's one of my favorite shows. It's a quick 20 minutes worth of questions. Show lasts 30 minutes, in and out, you're done. And they're fantastic questions. Thursday, we're having one of our podcasts, and we'll wait to announce which one, coming live in a show. Fridays, we're looking at adding a new show in talks with a couple fine gentlemen. Some of you know them online. We will announce that when that's firmed up. And then, of course, Saturdays, you have me and Darren as two old bloggers. Once the season hits, Tyler will do a brief wagering show, and we'll rock the two shows together. And we are going to have an absolute great lineup. And then again, the real Forno on Monday, along with our post-game shows. We are going to be going wall to wall for your Vikings entertainment, and we're going to love it. Have a good time, drink some great Lake Monster beers, or whatever your beverage of choice is. Enjoy some absolute fantastic Vikings football as we get spammed. Thank you, YouTube.
A lot of porn coming in.
Yep.
Look at these comments.
Let me take care of that real quick.
Love Chat XYZ, the best adult dating site. Well, I probably shouldn't say that. We should.
No, you shouldn't.
We should get sponsored, or paid for giving them a little advertisement.
I'm surprised it took them this long tonight.
That's funny. That's
all right.
But I do want to thank everybody that's
Appreciate
watching.
You, buddy.
With that, what do we say, guys?
Skol Vikes.
Skol Vikes.
Skol Vikings! Thanks for watching. Like, subscribe, and ring the bell, and rate us on your favorite aggregator. And a special shout out goes to our partners, the Daily Norseman, where the best Vikings content can be found, and to Lake Monster Brewing, home of the best beer in Minnesota. Skol, everybody.